It's the Big Trav and Q Show.
What they waiting for?
Just another damn podcast. Now let's go. Go.
That's right. Let's go. What's up, y'all? The Big Trav and Q Show, man. Like episode like 100 or something. Man, we on 100 or what we on now?
Wishing.
Yeah. Oh man. I made a few stops today, man. I had to make a few stops today. I went to about three essential locations, and now I'm back here, and I'm ready to get this show on the road, baby.
I'm ready to go too, man. Big Trav and Q Show. Come on, y'all. Wake it up. Tell a friend. Get everybody on the phones. Get to whatever you need to do, man. The Big Trav and Q Show is in effect. We getting ready to hit it hard. We getting ready to come right back. Listen, Trav, I'm not going to lie to you. I ate a lot of humble pie yesterday, brother. All the way up until... But guess what? I got some good advice today. I talked with some good people. And, you know, they bounced me right back. And then when you and I had our conversation, you know, I don't know if we need to go into details, but the thing of it is that I've got a lot of encouragement, and a lot of people felt like, hey, you know, the Big Trav and Q Show, it has a lot of potential. They love what we're doing. And you know what? Out with the old and in with the new, baby. Let's kick it off.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, live and learn. You know, you bump your head, you remember where you ran it last time, and you won't bump it again. So that's what's up with that. So what you been doing today? What you get into today?
Man, I'm so excited because this is the show that you've been waiting on. You've been waiting on this particular guest speaker that we're gonna have doing our interview today.
You can say
it. I hope you got yourself together. I hope you got your questions. I hope people are tuning in. I hope people that are in the industry or potentially in the industry, I hope that people are gonna get a lot of good advice out of Stephanie Hammonds today. She's gonna be calling in, in a little bit shortly. And I'm just so excited. So let's take care of some business first.
Okay.
For all of you that just tuning in, or people who have not checked out the show or have not got a chance to go to visit any of our websites, our social media is YouTube, Big Trav and Q. Make sure you go hit that subscribe button. Hit that button. Let us know if you like the show. If you don't like the show, let us know what you think how we can improve on the show. Check out a lot of good content. We got a lot of good stuff that we've previously done. We got some really good episodes. Trav, a lot of people was feeling the dialogue that we had about Little Bootsy. A lot of people was chiming back on that one, man. We definitely got to probably do a follow-up on that because there were some things that people said that we should have talked about that we did talk about, and some things that he was talking about in that interview. So, but first and foremost, the Big Trav and Q Show, hit us up on our Facebook page, hit us up on our Instagram pages. Don't forget, leave a comment. Let us know something. We're always on our pages. Let us know how you feel in the show. And if you have any guests that you think that we should have, if there's any particular topics that you think that we should be talking about, let us know, man. This is the People's Channel. This is what we do with our podcast. That's what I have to say. What about you, Trav?
You know what I got to say? Your mic is sounding really good, man. I'm really happy that you made that investment.
Oh, you talking about my mic?
Yeah,
sounds nice.
yeah. Your mic sounded nice, man. I like that. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, you know what? I'm excited for entertainment attorney Stephanie L. Hammonds to come on the show today, and reason why is because you know what our show is based, is hip hop entertainment based, and we talk about a lot of artists and we forever watching Unsung and shows like that, and we constantly see the artists getting railroaded because of a bad contract. And so lo and behold, Q just happened to remember that he knows an entertainment attorney. So I'm excited to have her on the show, and hopefully she can shed some light on some of those topics, man. Most recently, Meg Thee Stallion ran into some contract issues. She signed one of those rookie contracts. Let's call it a rookie contract. She signed one of those rookie contracts, and she exceeded expectations earlier than expected. And she acquired management with Rock Management, Jay-Z's artist management company. And they took a look at her contract and basically was like, this is, you got a bad contract. And they advised her to ask her record company or her management or whoever she done the contract with to see if they could renegotiate. And he said no. And then they put her in a position not to, they told her she couldn't release no music until they resolved that issue. And she took him to court to get a restraining order so she can continue releasing music until they rectify the situation. And so hence why we're bringing Stephanie Hammonds, entertainment attorney Stephanie Hammonds, on. So hopefully she can shed some light on it. And her expertise just happens to be, publishing, copyright, negotiations, licensing, and which is all intellectual property. So when she comes on, hopefully she'll shed some light on that. And and just to recap yesterday, oh man, we had an awesome interview yesterday with Ruffians. You guys really missed it. And they really were some good guys. How about you? I thought they were some good guys.
Come on, man. That was a really good thing for our show, man. I was glad to get some guys of their caliber to come on the show and spend their time with us. And I really hope that people got a chance to tune in. There were some people that had some things to say, but listen, you missed, if you didn't get a chance to check out, and let's not even talk about them. Let's talk about, the appetizer, Blaine Smith. Blaine Smith dropped some jewels, man.
He did.
Listen, you guys, if you have not got a chance to check that man's resume out and what he has done and how he's been in here doing a lot of good stuff in the community, he's very riveting. But the main course definitely was Ruffians. They put on the polished interview. First of all, let me say this about my co-host, Trav. You did a phenomenal job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You did a phenomenal job. And I'm not just blowing smoke. Listen, I'm sitting here. Sometimes I sit back as a fan myself and just be like amazed. And I'm like having conversations with people like, he is really on, man, look at, oh my God. And then you come with another question that'd be like, oh my God. And then getting the chance to have a conversation after the show went off, and people was like, that guy is amazing. And I know 2 days ago, somebody was telling us, your brother was telling us about the dynamic, but I mean, seriously, man, to get a lot of people in a short span to comment on what we're doing, even though when we have our woes moments, and still be encouraging us to keep moving forward, that they see a lot of potential in what we're doing, speaks volumes, brother.
Yeah, it does, and for me, it's just fun. It's just fun to me. This is what me and you do all of the time. We just go back and forth and we debate about everything. So we decided to take it in front of the camera, take it to the mic, and here we are. And so far, so good. I'm loving it. So did you, it was a slow content, evening, no significant content is like sticking out with me. Let me go through my phone here. Let's see here. I did. Oh yeah. You know what? Let's get through some of this stuff that we didn't get a chance to yesterday before we get on with Stephanie. I meant to report yesterday that Queen Latifah has been hired to star in Hattie McDaniel. To star as Hattie McDaniel in a new Netflix story, and I'm excited about that. And man, let me see here. I actually had a follow up on that on our page. Let's see here. Where was that follow up at? Here it go. Here's that follow up. Okay, here it go. Okay. It says in May, Latifah will portray the iconic Hattie McDaniels in the Netflix new series Hollywood McDaniel. Is famously known as the first black woman to win an Oscar for a supporting role in Mammy and Gone in the Wind in 1939. And if you Google Mammy is going to look like the lady on the Aunt Jemima bottle. So
right.
just to kind of give you some context on that. So yeah, shout out to Queen Latifah for doing that. Also, DJ Premier says originally he didn't want to do the battle with RZA. He told his people, he said, I don't want to do the battle unless it's with Dr. Dre. So what do you think? What do you think Dr. Dre and DJ Premier would have been a good battle? I don't think so. Why would he want that smoke?
First of all, I mean, listen, man. Premier, regardless, listen, Premier is iconic in a lot of different ways, man.
He's generally iconic. He's iconic, but he's not Dr. Dre iconic. So no, he is. He's dope. He's dope.
This is Trav.
But it's about 5 or 6, maybe more, better producers out here. I met Swiss.
Well, listen, man, there's nothing wrong with your confidence and your catalog.
Oh no, that's cool. That's cool.
If you feel that way, go for it.
My comments.
Now, do I think personally? Do I think he can win that battle? I mean, hey, I'm gonna go with Dr. Dre all day.
Okay,
but I mean, I'm just saying, if he felt he wanted to hold out for Dr. Dre, that must have mean that he was holding some gems that he didn't play.
They said that he didn't. Matter of fact, he took to Instagram yesterday. He wanted to clear up that he said everybody asked him why he didn't drop Annie Up by MOP, and he said I didn't do MOP. He said I didn't do Annie Up. He said I didn't do that. He said his boy DR Period done that. He said he mixed the album down, but he said he didn't do the track. So, but people were like, for years we thought he had done that. He said on the credits it says produced by DR Period and mixed by DJ Premier. So I guess they heard the song and then they read the credits and seen Premier and just probably transfixed it and thought it was Premier. But nah, Premier, I don't think he want that smoke, man. That was no, you don't want that smoke. Okay, I got some Dame Dash news as well. It says Dame Dash called out a lawyer. He called a lawyer's breath doo-doo at trial and now must pay $300,000 copyright claim. Says the judge said Dash repeatedly disrupted the testimony, shouted out and answered questions directly at a witness, loudly accused a witness of lying, repeatedly made inappropriate gestures, and uttered unpleasant noises. At one point during this cross-examination, Dash said an attorney's breath smelled like doo-doo. Oh, man. You know what, man? Dame Dash is... when you look up, don't know how to get out of your own way, it's Dame Dash, man. He just, I don't get what this deal is, man. I don't get it. Him and Jay-Z, they split. He kept quiet for years. He kept quiet, up until maybe like 2 years ago. And now, Jay-Z's a scumbag. He don't think about the people. He's all about the money. Oh man, you and your sister is just the bottom of the hip hop world, man. And, and he killed me with this, are you a boss or are you a worker? He killed me with that bull, man. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. That's where, he's starting to creep up there with Kanye West for me. I ain't the biggest Kanye West fan, but he's starting to creep into the Kanye West realm. So, he just irked me, man. He irked me. So,
why? Well, what specifically has he done?
He's difficult. I remember, what's his name? Gotti, Gotti from Murder Inc. BET hired Gotti to do take hip hop songs and make them into episodes. And so he reached out to Damon to direct, to direct an episode on BET. And Gotti said that, he talking about, he wanted to, first of all, he didn't want to do the idea. He didn't want to do the idea that Gotti gave him. And then after Gotti didn't let him change nothing, then he started pitching a movie to him. And then when he wouldn't invest in his movie, he just quit the project altogether, man. And I'm like, and then he ran off talking about, me and him can't work together because he still got that worker mentality. I can only work with people that got a boss mentality. I'm like, man, this dude, if you don't go into the store with that, that's crazy.
Okay, man. But Dame, okay, so tell me something good about Dame.
Well, you know what? Dame is a genius marketer. He used to be. He used to be a genius marketer. He was the machine that made Rockefeller and Jay-Z and them go. Everybody know that. But, Jay-Z peep game, Jay-Z done what he needed to do, and I've been through it too. I got a couple friends I'm thinking about right now. And, I thought they were my good friends. I thought they were in my circle. Matter of fact, I asked one of them to be in my wedding, and they turned out to be just, I'm better off without them, but I was just talking to my wife about one of them the other day, and I told her, I said, you know what? I told her that I always looked at him, he always was a trip to me, but when somebody, your boy, you kind of like, you just roll with it. You know what I mean? You be like, right. I don't have to deal with it, man. I thought he had issues when I was cool with him. But he never pushed them on me until we like fell out, and the reason we fell out was because he just pulled an idiot move. He pulled an idiot move and it was obviously his fault, the situation. And only thing he had to do was apologize. First of all, he put us in a situation that we didn't have to be in. And then when it was over with, he didn't apologize. Yeah. I'm like, listen, I told him, I said, man, we've been through too much. I said, man, just apologize and let's move on, man. He wouldn't apologize. I'm like, man, you pull the bonehead stupid move, and so now we ain't cool no more because of that, man. But anyway, moving on, but I'm not bitter, and, maybe he is, but I'm not bitter. But anyway, and so maybe, that maybe Dame is under that, Dame is under that, that situation. He's bitter that they split ways and Jay-Z's a billionaire now and he's filing bankruptcy. And so people come at you every time he's sitting in an interview. Everybody want to talk about Jay-Z. They don't want to talk about him because he ain't got shit going on. So he always, I got a movie in the works, and don't nobody want to. He always come up. I mean, he come up with projects. He pitch movies, and he always blame it. He one of them dudes that always blaming everything. Oh, the man this and the man that. Oh, the man won't give me a chance. No, man, you didn't burn so many when you didn't burn your bridges, and everybody fuck with Jay-Z. So I wouldn't be surprised if people won't fuck with you because Jay-Z don't fuck with you. That's how I do. When Tupac was alive, if Tupac didn't fuck with you, I can tell the story, Jay-Z, the Pimp C story, which involves, I don't know if you know, but Pimp C, because Pimp C liked Tupac, and because Tupac didn't like Jay-Z, or he rapped, or because he dissed him, Pimp C didn't like Jay-Z. Did you hear that story? The Pimp C Jay-Z story?
I sure did.
And so if you guys don't know, the story goes like this. Remember the Big Pimpin' song? The Big Pimpin'? It was Jay-Z, Bun B, and Pimp C. Pimp C didn't want to do the song. He didn't want to do the song, and he sure as hell didn't want to do the video because he wasn't cool with Jay-Z. Tupac didn't like Jay-Z, So Pimp C rolled with Tupac. So he was like, Tupac don't fuck with him. I'm not fucking with him. So as a result, they didn't want to do the song. They had to Jay-Z and them told Bun B them, y'all got to come to New York to do the song. Bun B went out and he done the song. He done his part, but Pimp C didn't go. Pimp C done his part in the studio and they emailed it over and they put it in. So he didn't have to meet up with him. And so and then when it came to shoot, when it came time to shoot the video, he didn't want to be on set with Jay-Z. They went down to they went and shot the video like in the island somewhere. Pimp C drove his Mercedes or his BMW. He drove it to Miami and they shot his scenes in Miami. And so that's crazy, man. That's crazy. So, but it worked
That's loyal. That's loyalty.
But it worked like that, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. If I fall out with somebody, I expect my wife and I ain't gonna say my friends, but I expect my wife to roll with me on it too. Not necessarily, but but if you do my wife wrong, me and you ain't cool no more. If my wife ain't feeling you, I ain't feeling you either. And I expect her to do the same. I mean, like, listen, I ain't rolling with him no more. Don't be talking to him.
What about objectivity though?
What do you mean?
Trav.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, sometimes in certain situations there could be an isolated incident that happens that necessarily just because you, and I'm not talking about your spouse. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying in general, if we're cool, sometimes there could be a situation where you were, just because you fell out with somebody, but that other person had no qualms with that person and everything was good. So should you, and I'm just pointing this out to you or anybody who's listening, should you automatically pull a Pimp C and just decide to just ride with somebody, even though that person has never personally ever did anything to you?
No. Well, you know what? No, I didn't say my friends. I said like my wife. I would expect that loyalty with my wife, but with you, I wouldn't expect that loyalty. If me and you fell out.
Wait a minute. Why you say me personally?
Well, because I got to live with my wife. I got to see her every day. And if I'm heated at a person that I fell out with and I see her, still talking to the person or emailing and talking or her running back, telling me things about them, that's not going to sit well with me. I don't live with you and I don't see and talk to you all of the time. And you and I, we're in business together. So, I'm gonna give you an example. Say if me and a certain comedian was cool, and me and him fell out, but you wanted to book him for a show, and I was DJing on the show. That wouldn't stop me from doing the show. I'm not gonna. Because in my particular situation with the one guy, you know what? I'm over it. Because, I was done wrong in the situation. I'm over it now. And to me, he's being ignorant. He's the one that need to make the apology. I've talked to some people about it and people like, well, hey, why don't you take the high road and just go apologize? Because I like seeing you guys together. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But no, but no, I don't want to do that because I was really wronged in the situation. And then, just the way he handled it. I mean, after he done me dirty, his actions was fuck you. You know what I mean? His actions was like, fuck you, man.
No, I have to agree with you on that one.
Yeah, so
this is not somebody. How long was the friendship?
Oh my God, about 10 years.
Nope, I can't do it.
Yeah, we was friends for 10 years. And the way he handled it made me think that he really wasn't a good friend of mine, because when you and someone else is good friends, you'll make that apology. You really would. So that made me think. So I get even angrier. It become not even more cool because he done me dirty, and he ended it with like a fuck you and you crazy and all. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. Really? You know.
Well, you know what we're gonna have to do? We're gonna have to we're gonna have to pick a topic and dive into that, and probably have a guest speaker to help us out with that, with stuff like that, because you bringing up some very interesting things that we can center a show behind. You know what I mean? And I like to basically balance it out with having somebody that can probably give us a counterbalance view on what we're saying, because I in principle I agree with everything you're saying, but that's the one thing about having a podcast. We love to hear other people's views, what people think, and that's just to balance things out. But guess what, though? In 2 minutes, Trav, it's going down.
Oh, yeah.
It's going down. It is going down. But there are some things that I wanted to elaborate on the Dame Dash topic. But we'll definitely dive back into that subject matter, because it's not just an open and closed thing, because they have a history with each other that that we need to balance some stuff out on, and give some counter to what things have happened when it comes down to Jay-Z and Damon Dash.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just Saudi people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but you know what? For me, it seemed like every time I fell out with somebody, things got better for me. And then, and so, hey, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, for favor. Because things got better after, I'm talking about two specific people, and my life and my situations got better after they weren't in my circle anymore. And because I dealt with them. I mean, both guys, I dealt with them like on a day-to-day basis. Talked to them all the time on the phone. Done events together, and like I said, and considered them good friends. And one day they just flipped the switch, and we're gonna have to do a show about that. I'm not with me getting specific about who it is, but we're gonna have to do a show about there we go, right there.
Okay.
Hello,
you're on the Big Trav and Q show. Who do I have on the line?
you have attorney Stephanie Hammonds.
Hey, how you doing,
Yay!
Stephanie Hammond? Welcome to the show. An applause. What's that now?
I said, very welcome. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, of course. The reason why, because we were talking about what you specialize in. We were talking about it 2 weeks ago. And we were sitting around and we was like, do we know any entertainment attorneys? And I didn't know any. And then Q didn't say if he knew any of them. And then one day he upped up and he said, hey, I got one for the show. And so here we are.
Wonderful.
Stephanie L. Hammonds.
That's me.
Well, I always knew we go back a long time.
Yeah,
but I want
tell us about that.
Her time.
Tell me how. Can I get at her first?
Go ahead.
First of all, Miss Stephanie Hammonds, I just want to find out how are you holding up in the quarantine, and how are you handling yourself with everything?
Well, I am self-quarantined a little over a month. The last time I was out was March 11th. And I'm holding up pretty well, still handling business via phone and Zoom and that kind of thing. So just willing to wait it out and just hoping and praying for the people in my city that we can get past this, because it's hit Detroit very hard.
Yes, it has. Michigan has really been hit hard. I think they're the number 2 state in cases now, I believe. And then now the state is mad at Governor Whitmer because she done the no travel, the lockout, the don't go outside. What was it she done?
A stay at home.
Stay at home. There we go.
Stay in place order. But let me correct you. The state is not mad. There are some people, I guess, far right conservative group that was funded by the Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, who's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. there was a group, that group with that funding and that support, converged on the city of Lansing, but that's not reflective of our state.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected on that. Okay. Before we get into your expertise and all the questions that we have about entertainment, let's do some of Stephanie's background. I see Thurgood Marshall. I see Thurgood Marshall School of Law. I see Texas Southern University.
Yes.
I see Wayne State University, class of 88?
Yes, it is.
And Renaissance Public High School in Detroit, class of 84.
Yes.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. Detroit, class of 84. Let me see. I was class of 90. So you're a little younger than I am.
Yes. But I claim every year, and I'm proud to still be here because everybody who graduated with my class is not alive. So I'm happy to be here and happy to still be alive and teaching and contributing.
Well, that's good. Okay, I'm gonna run some other things. We just gonna catch everybody up on you. I seen an interview, and I got some information off the interview about you, and just want you to talk about it. It says you didn't know you wanted to be an attorney growing up. You just said you like to talk and you like to write, and you could write pretty good. Is that why you became an attorney?
Well, you know what? That was part of it. Those were the skills that I knew would be beneficial as an attorney. But I also really wanted to help people. I'm a sucker for the underdog, and so I don't like to see people mistreated. So that was something that motivated me as well. I have a nurturing spirit, and so when I saw that the profession of law coincided with my skills and my own personal philosophy, it worked, and I chose it as a career.
You know what? I done the same thing. I seen the story you told about your counselor.
Yes.
Audrey Lester, and I had one.
Yes.
I know. Mine was called. Her name was Tanya Reasonover. She was my counselor, and I done the same thing. I went to her office, and she said, "Travis, what do you want to major in?" And I didn't know. And she done the same thing that Audrey done for you. She basically, she put out my transcript, and she seen what I had the best grades in. She said, "Your best grades is in history and in English." So she was like, she said, "Why don't you be a teacher?" And I had never thought about that. And then she goes, she said, "Do you like having summers off?" I was like, "Yeah." She said, "Do you like having Christmas break?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, be a teacher." And that's what I majored in. I majored in being a history teacher, which I did not finish, and I regret. But anyway.
No, but that's awesome. I mean, counselors are so important, and I just want to say shout out to Mrs. Lester and rest in peace because she passed away in 2019. But she was definitely a helpful person.
Oh, sorry to hear that. But she left a great impression on a great attorney, and she's doing a interview with two guys from Toledo, or one guy from Toledo and one from Detroit. So, okay, It says parents is from Akron. It says your mom was the first Black teacher in Barberton, Ohio. Wow, that's amazing.
That's right. Yes, it is. It was at that time. If you went to college and you were Black, being a teacher was just about as high as you could go. And the masters both my parents were teachers, and they had a need for teachers, but there was a racial element there. They did not want Black teachers, so both of my parents would go to interview after interview, and when they would be sent, say, "Hey, they're looking for teachers, and you're a shoo-in," and they would be told, "No, we don't have any openings." And so she was able to get that job with the help of the Urban League. So that's how that came about.
Wow. And both mom and dad was educators. You know, my aunt was the teacher. And my mom wasn't the greatest mom, and my auntie, she realized that. So my having an educator in the family for me, I mean, she cracked a whip on me. I would call my cousin, and I would call like this. I would go, "Is Jeff there?" And she said, "That ain't the way you asked for my son." And she would hang up on me, and she hung up on me. I would call back and call the wrong way every time. And then, and she said, "Listen here." She said, "When you call a house, you say, 'Hi, how are you?' And then I'll tell you how I'm doing. And then you say, 'May I speak to Jeff?'" And then, so she taught me how to speak. I would say is, she would say are. So I had an auntie that was drilling me. So you had two teachers or two educators in home. Was it strict at home having teachers as both parents?
Probably some people would say it was strict, but for me, that was what I was used to, and they made learning fun, and so it wasn't like I felt like I was being drilled. They were both excellent teachers, and they were like favorites among their students, and so they knew how to incorporate learning into life experiences and make it fun and not make you feel like you were in a classroom. And so they really were helpful to me. I credit my parents for who I am today, the way they raised me and the way that they showed me how to use education and how to think.
Oh, right. That's what's up. I'll tell you what, I seen a picture with you and Johnny Cochran. What was the occasion?
That is probably one of the most proud moments of my life and my career.
Was that the Rosa Parks situation?
It was.
Okay.
I was the only female member of Mrs. Parks' legal team. We originally just wanted Outkast to change the name of the song because Mrs. Parks just didn't want her name on there, and they didn't want to change it. And so then the lawsuit ensued under the legal theory of right of publicity, which means that everyone has it, but for famous people, it has a greater value. We all have the right to determine if our name can be used in connection with a good or service when there is commerce, so we can say yes or no, and we can name a price. And so since they refused to change the name and the song had already been out, we were just suing because they had violated Mrs. Parks' right of publicity. Johnny Cochran joined the team when we were at the appellate stage. And so the picture that you saw was taken on May 4th, 2001. That was after we had just returned from court, and he made the oral argument in favor of Mrs. Parks. And as a result of that argument, because the case had initially been dismissed, the case was reinstated, and then we went on to litigate some more, and eventually it was settled out of court.
Oh, awesome. I love Outkast, but Rosa Parks, she deserves her respect, and I really feel for that situation. What do you say, Q? I would have just changed the name of the song. What you would have done, Q? Q, are you there? My co-host, are you there?
Q,
I am here. I'm here.
Okay, there you go.
I am here.
I said, what would you would have done? Would you would have changed the song, or would you would have fought it out?
I think because Rosa Parks was a national treasure in my eyes, I would have just changed it. I don't even. But Stephanie, can you just to balance things out? What was their reasons for not wanting to change the name?
Well, they thought, they just didn't understand the law. And so they thought that it was okay to use her name. And so I have to give Outkast a lot of credit because their legal team tried to say and argue that the song was a tribute to Mrs. Parks, because the way the law works is that if it was a tribute or if the song was about her, it would be nothing that she could do to stop them. So there had to be a creative, they call it artistic relevance. So if there was an artistic relevance, a connection between the title and the song lyrics, then there wouldn't have been a case. And that's what their attorneys tried to argue. But to their credit, they remained truthful. They said, if this song has nothing to do with Mrs. Parks, we thought that if it wasn't about her, that we could use the song title. So it was just they were standing on their own creative principles as they understood them, and they didn't really understand the law, and they refused to change their story, even when their legal team was trying to put those words in their mouth.
I also noticed when I was looking into the case that they settled the case with admitting no wrongdoing and contributing money to Rosa Parks programs. Are they continuing to donate funds to the Rosa Parks situation? Are they continuing to stay up? Are you familiar with that?
Well, the settlement was confidential, but I can address what you stated. There was a undisclosed monetary award that was paid, and then there were also programs that they were supposed to do that was supposed to raise money for the organization. I don't represent and have never represented Mrs. Parks' organization, so I don't know what happened from there. But from what I can see as a member of the public, I've not seen any announcements or anything that would reflect that, but I can't officially say because I don't represent the organization and I'm not involved with them.
Okay. Well, I hope they are. I hope they're doing the right thing, and I hope they continuing to connect with the state and continue to contribute to her legacy. That'd really be nice. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Let's get into this entertainment attorney stuff. Now it's different types of attorneys. You know, you got I guess you got civil and criminal, and then you got your entertainment attorney. What's the difference between maybe a criminal attorney and an entertainment attorney? Is it a big difference or not at all? Or
well, criminal and civil are really the two general areas. So civil law is dealing with anything that doesn't involve breaking of a criminal statute. So you can have an entertainment lawyer who specializes in criminal law, and just like when Johnny Cochran was representing Snoop Dogg, Todd Bridges, and O.J. Simpson. He still, because they deal in the area of that in their business, but they were accused of crime, so they still needed a lawyer with a criminal background. When you're talking about entertainment laws, you're talking about creative rights, intellectual property, copyright, trademarks. You're talking about the use of a person's image and likeness and voice. You're talking about creative work. And so there still are elements of criminal and civil law within there. But primarily when you're talking about entertainment law, it breaks down into two basic categories: transactional entertainment attorneys and entertainment litigators. I do both. Transactional entertainment law deals with non-court related matters, negotiation of deals, registration of things in the copyright and trademark office, drafting contracts, reviewing, negotiating. That's the transactional side of entertainment law. The civil entertainment litigation side of entertainment deals with people who have contracts. Most frequently, you might hear a dispute between a record label and an artist. Either they want to get out of the contract, one or the other thinks that they breached the contract. They're trying to recover unpaid royalties or enforce some other part of the contract. Those type of deals are also on the hip hop and rap front. Copyright infringement work, where someone borrows, I'm doing air quotes, lyrics or music from someone else, either intentionally or unintentionally, and incorporates it into what they consider to be a new work without getting the original author's permission to do so. So I've been involved in that and royalty disputes as well. But that's kind of what an entertainment lawyer does. They make deals, they negotiate contracts, and then if they're litigators, they seek to enforce a contract or to get a client out of a contract once it's been breached.
Okay, here's the big question. Everybody want to know this. I already know the answer, but I want an entertainment attorney to let everybody know what I'm about to ask. Now, with us being quarantined in, all of these DJs, and even myself, I'm a DJ, and I've been DJing. I've been going live DJing, playing copyrighted music, just whatever anybody want to hear. And Facebook, they'll kick me out. They'll send me. They say your video has been blocked. They'll say like BMG, Sony, Epic Records, whatever has has identified the music you was playing and your video was blocked. Do you have any experience with any Facebook situations, or can you shed light on why they do that?
I can shed a little bit of light on why they say they do that. I don't necessarily believe that this is the reason. I mean, it boils down to money. They will say that these platforms are not designed for streaming purposes. So whether it's Instagram or Facebook, they're not a streaming platform. That's what they're saying. And the real translation behind that means is that, as you may know, all of the streaming platforms have to have agreements with the record companies and the publishers in order to allow the music to stream on those services. So what they're really saying is that there isn't an agreement where they can get paid for the use of that master recording, so they're going to block it.
Now, I got a question. What if they tell us as a DJ, I remember when I first started, and it was suggested that I get an ASCAP license for DJing, and you do need an ASCAP license to DJ. And,
yes.
But they tell you that if the facility you're playing in has one, you don't have to worry about it. So
That's correct.
So I'm aware of that, but so I just want to confirm that, so you can be sued or action can be taken against you if you perform in a venue that doesn't have an ASCAP license and you don't have one either. So that's against the law, correct?
Well, let me say this. The Performing Rights Society placed that responsibility squarely on the shoulders of the venue. So the venue is responsible in all instances. So if you're in a brick and mortar venue, they're the ones who are held responsible and accountable for having the license. You don't have to have it. A lot of times, I shouldn't say a lot of times, sometimes venues will try to put that off on even a live performer in a contract. But the way that the arrangement is with the public performance societies, that responsibility is on the venue in all instances. So you won't be sued, but they will be sued.
Hooray! Yay! That's a stress reliever right there. But not that I think about it, because I've been DJing for almost 20 years now, and I've never had an ASCAP license, and I've never worried about it. But every now and then I'll sit down with a couple for a wedding, and they'll ask me if I have one or if I have insurance, and I don't have that either. And so, but that's to protect me. That's in the license.
Yeah, insurance is a good thing to have, but the license is the responsibility of the venue. So don't let if they ask you that in the future, you can let them know that and direct them to the venue to make sure that they have it. And even if they don't have it, that's their responsibility, not the people who are renting it, and not you as a performer there. And or an entertainer, I should say, because I definitely respect DJs and consider them to be entertainers too.
Thank you for that. I'm gonna post this part of the interview. We got a DJ page. And I'm gonna post this part. I'm gonna post the whole interview on the DJ page, because everything we're talking about is gonna be beneficial and helpful and gonna enlighten those guys. So that's gonna be a good look. So thank you for the information. Okay,
hey, Stephanie, I got a quick. Hey, Trav, I got a question
Sure.
on the chat line. There's somebody on the line, and they want to know about startup contracts for performers, or if you're going into a deal where you're possibly, getting ready to sign with a label, major label, or any type of medium label. And the big word now that people are always talking about is 360 deals. And so they wanted to know, could you basically, give some enlightenment to talk about these typical deals, especially when in light of what's going on with Meg the Stallion right now?
Well, a 360 deal is almost, let me just say this. The entertainment industry has changed now. And really, when a major label approaches an artist now, it's more of a business partnership than it used to be what I would consider to be more of a paternalistic relationship, where the record company would be in the role of maybe like a parent, and they would oversee and help the artist to develop And but now it's really a situation where they've sat back and they've watched you and they see that you have a certain number of likes, a certain number of followers, a certain number of sales, or you've gone viral. And so they see, because they try to take the risk out of things much more than they used to. And so they see you as a potential candidate they can make money with. And what they're basically offering you is access to their distribution and marketing channels and some additional monetary support. So when you're talking about a 360 deal, you're talking about basically having a partnership arrangement where the record label is going to share in your different revenue streams, depending upon the leverage that you have. And leverage is really based on how popular you are, what your numbers are, if there are other record companies that are interested in signing you too. They're going to want percentages of potentially your publishing income if you're a songwriter, if you have any type of endorsement or tour money from live performances, if you write any books, if you are a model or you get a acting opportunity. Basically, they're now claiming responsibility for and the right to get shares of that income, because they're saying, but for us putting you in this position and where you can have your music distributed on a worldwide basis on a much broader scale, you wouldn't have these opportunities. And so we should be entitled to share in them. The good side, though, is that because you have to prove yourself to get on their radar, you have the ability to push back, or more importantly, you have an understanding, a clearer understanding of how much money you're already bringing in on your own, so that if what they offer you is not equal or greater than what you're already making on your own, you have a better barometer to measure whether or not a deal makes sense. Whereas in the past, when the decisions were more talent-based, it was a matter of, number one, having the prestige of having a major label interested in you and offering you a contract, and you were making literally nothing or didn't have anything to really compare what they were offering you with. So I don't know if that answers the question, Q.
Let me ask this: does the entertainment attorney make the actual contract? Do they do the wording on the contract?
No. What generally happens is that your major labels have a standard contract that's between 38 to 50 pages, and depending upon, again, your leverage, your status, how popular you are, there are certain provisions that they might switch in or out, like for somebody whose numbers are not quite as high, but they start out with a contract, tweak it depending upon how popular or well established you are, and then from there, the artist entertainment attorney goes back and forth with the VP of legal and business affairs at the label until they've reached a mutual understanding. So it is negotiable to a certain extent.
Okay. Now, are you aware of the percentage breakdowns? Because that's what I've always wondered. Now, on a song, you got like I was looking at let's take Rough Ends yesterday, the song No More. Now, it's two members in the group, and this is what I noticed when I done the research. It was 3 writers on the song, and it was 2 producers. How do you break that up? How do you break are you aware of how they break that money up and who gets what? I mean, are you aware of that?
Yes, yeah. To a certain degree, it's decided. It's supposed to be based on, if it's done the traditional way, the writers look at who's they allocate a percentage based on each person's contribution. Sometimes, if you have a songwriting team, like I remember reading an interview with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and they said that because they always write together, they don't do it that way. They just split everything equally because they know sometimes one person writes more than the other, but they work together. But generally speaking, the ownership of the song is 100%. 50% of that song ownership is attributed to the people who write the lyrics, and then 50% is attributed to the producers or the people who compose the music. So from there, the writers, if there's only one writer of the lyrics, they would get the entire 50% unless they come to another agreement with the composers. And then the composers, if there's more than one, would determine how they would split the remaining 50% based upon whatever they determine, either an agreement like Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, or just looking at who contributed how much to the song and allocating the percentages that way.
Now, what about the performers? What about the performers on the song? What they don't have a if they didn't write this, they didn't write the songs. Yesterday, Rough Ends, they just performed it. So the performers, they don't.
Generally, they don't. Now, there are some artists who say, because I'm popular, I am going to need to get, if I'm recording your song, you need to give me a percentage of the publishing or I'm not going to record it. There are some performers that say that. But by and large, if you are not a writer, if you don't contribute, if you're just a performer, you're not going to see any publishing income. Or you're not going to get an ownership interest in the song itself.
That's not fair. The artist made the song hot.
Well, sometimes, and sometimes vice versa. I think there are arguments that can go both ways. But when you're looking at the different sources of revenue, songwriters, their sole source of income is based on performances, either live performances, recorded performances of the song, or licensing. So there are other revenue sources that are available to the performer, and so they haven't contributed. I'm not to take away from their performance of it. They get an artist royalty for that. They're able to monetize their performance contributions, but they don't create the song. They didn't compose the music or write the lyrics. So sometimes it seems unfair, but I think it's fair overall.
Okay, it doesn't sound fair, but you're the expert, so oh, you know what? Listen, if I become an artist, I'm writing all my stuff.
It makes sense. Makes sense as long. Yeah, you just have to make sure you're good at it, because a lot of times artists do that, and if that's not really what they do well, they can shoot their own selves in the foot because they're unable to reach their potential because they are trying to keep all the money. So I think it's best to let people do what they do best, and you can always learn. So that, I think I would take that from what you're saying. You can learn how to write, get good writers and producers, work with them, learn, and then you can be a contributor, and then you don't have to take or fight with anybody. You can just get your rightful share.
So, ladies and gentlemen, basically the breakdown of what she just said is in a songwriting credit percentage, 50 is writers, 50 is production, and the artist might get a royalty credit, or is it a royalty credit or a royalty point? I mean, what is it? A royalty what?
They can get writer and publishing shares if they have if they have the leverage and the wherewithal to do it. For example, if I'm Beyonce and I say, look, I know everything I touch turns to gold. If I perform one of your songs, I'm going to take your career to another level. And so for that, I need you to give me a certain percentage as a writer and as a publisher of this song in order for me to record it for you. So you can do that. Unless you do that, you're not going to get anything, though, unless you actually contribute to the writing or the production of the song.
You know what? Now I'm questioning everything Beyonce do. Let's take, we was going over the Instagram battles, and the Dream, he wrote Single Ladies for Beyonce. So he wrote it, Trackmasters produced it, and she just performed it. So Beyonce ain't getting no money on Single Ladies. That's you know.
Well, Beyonce is one of the people that does do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. She might also have learned to be a writer. She might also be a writer now, but I know in the past that she has done that because I saw the publishers used to send out what they would call song casting lists to all the songwriters that were signed to them, just letting them know different artists that were looking for songs. And I remember reading from her that her management listed she was looking for a song for music, and it said that if you submit a song, you need to know that she needs to get a percentage of the writer share, and if you cannot agree to that, do not submit the song.
Wow, wow. Okay, let's talk about the Meg Thee Stallion situation. I don't know how abreast you are on it, but I'm gonna give you what I know. Basically,
Okay.
She signed. I think she signed with 300, and she's actually was signed to two different labels. And I guess before her mom passed away, her mom was managing her. And then after her mom passed, I guess maybe somebody was filling in for her. And then
Yeah.
eventually she acquired management from Rock Nation, which is Jay-Z's management company. And they took a look at her contract, and they basically told her that her contract was trash. They said this is a bad contract. So she told them, she said, go back to them and ask them, can you renegotiate your contract? And they said no. So can you talk about what happened there?
Well, I've heard about it. I could probably discuss it better if I could know what they were calling trash. You know, what were the objectionable terms? Because I can honestly say that it's kind of difficult for, well, let me say this. I'm an artist advocate. Really, I am, because artists are the ones that usually get the raw end of the deal. At the same time, I have to balance it, because I think in order to be a true advocate for people, you can't just look at things one-sidedly. You have to balance and look at both interests. So you have to look at where she was when she was first signed under her first contract, because the terms that you're able to negotiate as a starting artist are different from what you could negotiate and demand when you reach the level of success that she's had. So the question becomes, there are certain terms that are just fair no matter what stage of your career you're at. But there are other things, namely royalty rates, money that you will be paid, advances, those type of things that are really based on your status at the time. So I really would be interested in seeing what specific terms they found to be objectionable, because looking at it from both sides, it's kind of unrealistic to expect a label who helped to build your career and success to renegotiate and give you higher terms based on the status that you acquired based on their hard work and their investment of money. You see what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. One thing she did share with us, as far as her contract, she said that they gave her $10,000 up front, and they said any of her earnings, whether related to the music or not, say like her tour money, they reserve the right to recover her show money, any money she earned because of her name, and they get her money first, and then they give her like a piece of it. And I thought I was under the impression that all artists kept their show money. Like when you toured, I was under the impression that, that the record company couped their money back through record sales, and then the artist made their money from the tours. I was under that impression. And so,
that's how it used to be. That's how it used to be, and how the 360 game has changed things now. So, and that's what we were talking about earlier. So now, instead of just recouping money from record sales, they now are able to collect pieces of they call it ancillary rights. So things that are not directly related to the song, recording and sale of records, but that they're claiming credit for helping to get you out there so that those opportunities are available to you. So the 360 deal says, yes, you're going to get a percentage of touring money. You're going to get a percentage of my endorsements. You're going to get a percentage of if I have an acting job. You're going to get a percentage if I write a book. But I have not seen where all the money comes to the record label, and then the record company pays that out to the artist. What I have seen is that the artist is supposed to report and either have the third party pay that percentage directly to the label, or the artist pays it to the label. I've not seen it where the record company receives the money and then pays out whatever they want to the artist. And the other thing that I haven't seen yet is that even though major labels have the 360 component in the contract, I haven't seen a label yet sue an artist for not doing it. So
now, okay, what's a development deal? I always hear what's a distribution deal? I always hear that. I've heard both. I've heard a development deal and I've heard a distribution deal. What are you familiar with those terms?
I am. So a distribution deal is someone who has relationships with the streaming platforms, the music retailers, and the online retailers, and they are responsible for placing your music either physically in stores or placing them on those platforms, collecting the money, and then paying out the difference minus their fee to you. Because one of the things is that, like, there are mechanical royalties that you earn as a writer and a publisher through streaming. But the different streaming platforms, it would be too much for them to deal with ABC Records and all of the different independent producers on a one-on-one basis. So you as a independent record label could not have your music uploaded to streaming platforms without having a middleman. So in situations like that, that's what a distributor really is, a middleman who has the relationship with the different retail and streaming outlets, and they pass your music through, and in exchange for that, they take a fee, which is usually anywhere from 20 to 30% of whatever your earnings are, and they pay you the rest.
Yeah, that was what Master P had. That was why Master P made so much money in the beginning. That's what he had. I forget what record label or distributor it was, but that was why he made so much money in the beginning, because, you know, he tells the story that they thought I was stupid. He said the money for the month, he said for the money that they were offering me, I could have continued selling, my CDs out of my trunk. He said, I was already selling music. He said, only thing I needed was distribution. He said, I had my own studio. I could, I didn't have to pay for studio time. I could do my own marketing. And so he convinced, I forget whoever it was. I think it was Interscope.
Okay.
That he persuaded, and they laughed at him because they didn't think he was going to make good music, but it was,
Right.
it was like a 75-25 deal. And he basically was getting, no, it was 80-20, and he was getting all his money and just paying them 20%. And so I think Baby Birdman ended up getting the same deal too. He ended up getting a distribution deal because he knew Master P had one. And so he ended up, both of them end up getting I don't think it was 80, but they end up getting a pretty good split on just straight distribution deals. And so that enabled them to make a lot of money. But I heard they don't like to do that no more because because it's not a good deal for the distributor. So they don't have.
Exactly. Exactly. But if you have the right, Master P had great entrepreneurial skills. And anybody who does have that and is not looking for a shortcut, because a lot of times people get wooed by the big checks and they don't realize that might be all the money you see forever or for a long period of time. So if you have the right infrastructure in place and you have a entrepreneurial mindset, it definitely paid off for him. Now, you had asked me, too, about a developmental agreement.
Right.
A developmental agreement is an agreement that might be offered to an artist who might have one hit, right, and it might have gone viral. And basically, you're wanting to partner up with that artist or that record label so that you can share in the profits from the hit, and then with the potential to be able to lock them in, you know, get an option for their next product that you would just determine that the record label in their own discretion would determine whether or not they wanted to exercise. So it's kind of like somebody who is engaged for 10 years, you know, you gave them a ring, but you didn't set a date.
Right.
So you don't want anyone else to have her, but you're not quite fully committed.
It sounds like it's low risk. It sounds like it's low risk for the record company. It sounds like a low risk situation. So.
Absolutely, because it's a minimum commitment, and the commitment that you're making is based on what you already see they're doing, so you know that you're going to make some money.
Okay, got it. I just wanted more everything we're talking about. I hear those terms and like I watch so much YouTube and so many. Every time you watch Unsung, you hear those terms all of the time, and
yes.
you always hear about, oh my God, back in the 80s, everybody got railroaded. You know,
yes.
Like Earth, Wind, and Fire. How do you pay 9 people? Earth, Wind, and Fire. How do you pay 9 people? Jesus. Woo.
There's definitely a hierarchy there, and then that's where the songwriting we're talking about becomes important, because you aren't getting much on the royalty side as an artist, so that's where the songwriting really kicks in. So I don't know. I read Maurice White's autobiography. It was very insightful and interesting to see how he did things and how a lot of the people back in the day had the wisdom to hold on to their publishing business. So it's definitely something.
Now, the next question is about royalties. Are you familiar with how royalties work and how people get them?
Yes.
Okay. Expand on that a little bit.
Okay, so generally, when you're talking about an artist, and I will assume the artist is a songwriter as well, there are 2 forms of royalties that you're going to receive from a recording contract. They're going to be your artist royalties, which are royalties that the artist receives from the record company based on a percentage of whatever the suggested list retail price is for a song or an album. And then there are what's called mechanical royalties, which are royalties that are paid to songwriters and publishers who own the copyrights to the songs that are being recorded and sold. So generally speaking, even though every record company has their own accounting system, generally artist royalties that are paid based on the suggested list retail price of the products are paid semi-annually, meaning theoretically twice a year. The first statement covers the accounting period from January 1st to June 30th. The second royalty accounting statement covers the period from July 1st to December 31st. Now, within that structure, there's a certain period of time that the record company is given to calculate and get the statements ready and to issue the check. So in the industry standard, there are 3 time periods that are given. So the shortest time frame is 45 days after the end of each accounting period. Then there are some record companies that will issue a statement and a payment 60 days after the end of the accounting period. And then there are a lot of record companies who will issue your statements 90 days after the end of the accounting period. So what happens is that first, the accounting period itself ends. Then they look at, well, how long after it ends does the record company have to pay us? So we're talking either 45 days after the end of each period, 60 or 90 days. That's with respect to the artist world. If you are a songwriter or a publisher, royalties are paid either semi-annually or sometimes quarterly, depending on whatever the policy is at the record company, and depending on if you are a third-party writer or the artist writer. And what I mean by that is, if I'm not signed and I'm just a writer, I might pay you a little bit differently than I would if you're the writer artist. but the same period of time is applied for those royalties too. After the accounting period ends, they have 40, 60, or 90 days to issue a statement and payment if there is any due. Sometimes the record contract will say there has to be a certain threshold payment amount in your account in order for them to have to make the payment, meaning that usually it might be 100 or might be $150.
Where does ASCAP fit into this process?
Hello?
Yes, I said where does
Okay.
ASCAP fit into this process?
Oh, ASCAP is a performing rights society. ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC, they are responsible for collecting royalties from public performances. They only collect royalties on behalf of writers and publishers, and they're the ones who you have to get the licenses from that we were talking about earlier. Or if there's any public performance on radio, they used to have, where they would have music in elevators, or where they would have music when you would put someone on hold on the phone, or even when you see performances on television, any public performance of a music, one of those three organizations, if the writers and publishers join, is responsible for collecting your royalties for that.
So those are three separate checks from the record company. So you got a check from the record company, and then you got, if you're registered with these three, you get checks from those three as well.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. I was wondering how that worked. I was thinking maybe ASCAP sent the money to the record company and then they distributed it to the artists. Okay. All right. So ASCAP money don't even see the record company. Okay. Got it.
No. No.
Okay. Q, you got anything you want to add?
Yeah. Man. Yeah, there's a lot of chatter I'm monitoring.
This is the most entertaining. This is the most informative interview that we've had. I know everybody glued in because everybody asking questions. I'm asking the questions that everybody want to know because, we see unsung all the time. We see artists get railroaded on these programs all the time. And we just wonder how it happened, and getting an explanation on how it actually works is shedding some more light on it for us. So go ahead, Q.
Well, basically, because I just want to know what recommendations do you give new artists that are starting out in the business? If they come to you and they're saying, "Hey, I have a 3 to 5 year projection, and this is what I'm looking for, and I'm trying to be a mainstay in the industry," what is some of the typical advice that you give startup artists?
The first thing I tell them is that there are no shortcuts. So be prepared to be committed to your craft and look at yourself as a product and as a business. You're never going to reach a point where you don't have to work hard, where you don't have to stay on top of things. So develop those skills from the beginning. So have a healthy belief in yourself and surround yourself with people that have your best interests at heart. And then educate yourself, because those unsung stories are important, because if you watch enough of them, you'll see the same things that happened to Billie Holiday, happened to Toni Braxton, and one from there. And what I mean by that is there are 4 major things that I have observed that undercut an artist's success. And the first thing is poor representation or dishonest representation. Whether it's your manager, your lawyer, they're either dishonest or they're incompetent. And you suffer as a result of that being in a bad deal. So that's one thing. You don't have appropriate tax advice. You get in trouble with the IRS. And then the IRS is patient. They will wait until you're no longer successful. Then they will seize your assets and seek to collect. Then there's the issue of control, whether it's someone on your team, whether it's someone within the record company, people who seek to control you. Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, just trying to make sure. People who want to be able to control you will introduce substances that will, and I've seen it because part of it is to control you, to take advantage, and part of it is to control you because to get you to do what they want you to do.
Right.
I've seen people give people impossible schedules and then say, here, this will help you go to sleep. Here, this will help you stay up. So, and then there's also recreational drugs and stuff. So that type of substance abuse will lead to derailing someone's career. And then the last thing, which is most difficult, I think, is what they call survivor remorse, where you have a sense of guilt because you've made it, and that guilt makes you feel obligated to acquiesce to unreasonable requests from family and friends because you feel bad that you're successful and your situation has changed and theirs hasn't. So those, to me, are like the four things that we know happen. And we can look and see. It doesn't matter what year we look at. We can see artists that have fallen or succumbed to these type of vices or these type of negative things. So I think it's important to know who you are, learn how to recognize opportunities, not to be afraid to say no. One of the things I see a lot with artists is that they don't know how to recognize the true opportunities. And so they don't want to pass things up. And so they find themselves in compromising situations that don't work in their favor just because they were afraid to say no. So it's just about being comfortable, being confident, and then also following your gut. Because if something doesn't feel right, even if you can't explain why, you should never do it. Because one thing I always tell clients is that even if you don't know the entertainment business, good business, no matter what industry you're operating in, makes good sense. And if what someone's explaining to you doesn't make good sense, you don't have to know the specifics of the industry to know that that's something that you shouldn't be involved with. And it's a lot easier to pass up on a bad deal than it is to get out of a bad deal once you signed it.
And what we always say, and I hear you say it all the time, take the time to get an entertainment attorney, or get someone to look over, that information before you go sign it. And that's why everyone was upset with Meg Thee Stallion, because they said in this age of unsung, all this information out here about bad contracts and bad situations, how did she get one? They said all this information out here and she still got beat. So
right.
It was a lot of people, like Charlemagne the God was like, shame on her. All this information out here.
That.
Yeah, he said, shame on her. He said all this information out here and you still got. So
yeah. And it's tough. See, a lot of times, so even like it's almost like the record company in a certain degree gets penalized if they're successful with you, because I think a lot of times when people are desperate or they don't feel like they have other options, they will sign anything and they don't care because it's almost like you had no other option. But if you become successful and you read it, then you're upset. It doesn't justify having unfair terms, but you have to believe that you're going to be successful and approach a contract that way and not just look at the terms after you have become successful.
Okay, I got one more question. Something else just came to mind. I got this is two-part. I heard about Montel Jordan. He sold the rights to the This Is How We Do It song. And so
right.
he sold it, and now he can no longer make money off of that. And then secondly, these people that, how do you not own your masters? I don't get it. And how do you expect it? I know they're the owners of the company, record label heads, and they want to get paid. But when you set it up in the beginning, this is where you need representation. When it is so bad, how hard is it to get your masters back when you didn't signed over everything to somebody? Is it difficult Is it a difficult road to get your masters back?
Absolutely, 100% it is, because that, just to be clear, so the master is the physical recording or the actual recording that is duplicated or sold to the public. So that is the product. And the ownership of that is the key to being able to exploit the sound recording. So the record company looks at it as them being in a position where they've taken the risk, even though it's a lot less than what it used to be, to invest money in studio time, getting the producer and all of that. So they want to own it. That's the norm. That's the standard that's been established in the record industry.
So the norm is for the record company to own the master?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
They pay for it and they put the money up front. That's why it's that much more impressive when, we watch the movie Ray, and in that day and age, Ray Charles owned his master.
Wow.
That's why when Prince went and bought his back, that was a big deal. That's an exception. That's not the rule. And what happened is that recently, for some of the older work, because the copyright laws have changed, now a copyright is good for 75 years plus the life, or 92 years if it's a corporation, 95 years if it's a corporation. But back in the 60s, it was like 30 or 40 years. So a lot of the copyrights to the masters were expiring. And so a lot of artists were trying to reclaim copyrights to old masters that way. I don't know if you guys have heard anything about that.
Young Jock just had stated on one of the Love and Hip Hop shows, he said he got to wait 11 more years before he can get his masters back. So I did hear that. I heard that statement from him. So yeah, I'm kind of familiar with that. So go ahead.
So and Russell Wilson recently bought Sierra's masters for her.
Oh, that
so
was
it's
so
it's
dope.
very uncommon. Very uncommon. It's a minority of artists that actually own their own masters that are signed to major labels or were signed to major labels.
And so
what I had heard was not music, but as far as films, is that there was a lawyer that contacted the estates of like Stephen King, John Carpenter, basically all the people who signed away their movie rights a long time ago, and he came up with a clause in their contract and said that after 35 years that they can actually re-own all their music. All their rights back to their films. But you have to give notice of 18 months. You have to give notice of 18 months. So when the most recent, I think, is Blumhouse, or a lot of these different film editors now. So they have that within 18 months to say, if we want to take Last House on the Left or any Nightmare MC, Friday the 13th, and we own the rights to these films for 18 months. We can build up so much content within that time period, but we have to release it, or we can set on it, or basically just have it dead weight, where now after that 18-month period is gone. So now the estates, whether they're living or dead, now they can actually re-own their movie rights. And that was surprising because I never knew that they could do that.
Yeah, it's just for a window before the 1976 Copyright Act. And it's the same thing I was talking about with music. It's with any creative works that are covered by copyright. There was a window of time where it was like 28 years, and I forgot where it is, but it's like something works that I don't remember the range of time, but it's before 1976. Where any creative works, whether it's books, movies, music, film, there's the recapture right, because the lifetime of the copyright is a reasonably short period of time. It's not like it is now where it's 95 years.
And just to recap, guys, the masters, we were talking about the masters and owning your masters. The master situation goes back to the royalties that we were talking about earlier. And so if you own the master, that's how you get your royalty checks, correct?
Well, that's part of it because you control who uses it. So, for example, when you see a song on a commercial, like that Heinz commercial that has the Four Top
Right.
song on it.
Right.
So there are two types of licenses that Heinz had to get in order to make that commercial. One was from Motown or Universal that owns Motown now for the master recording. The master, as it's called, a master use license. The other license was a synchronization license that they had to obtain from the publishers of that song. So
Okay.
when you own the master, you have the right to license it, whether it's for commercial use, whether it's for use on a film, whether it's even inclusion on a compilation album. We don't see those as much as we used to. Or even if that is sampled. Those are all different revenue streams that a master, not to mention just selling it in its original form. So these are all different revenue streams that the owner of a master gets. So it's not, it is the sale of the record, but it's all these other uses as well.
Okay. That's what I thought. Okay. Well,
Now I got a question for the chat real quick. They want to ask you with if they go on Instagram and Facebook and they're posting their music on there and the music starts to take off and they get hot because that was their song, but yet they use those platforms. Who actually owns the rights to that music? And secondly, if they go for a deal off of that original song that sparked their career or anything, I'm just trying to read with this because they're typing so fast. They want to know how do they protect themselves in that particular situation. I'm just trying to paraphrase what they're saying.
Okay, so the first question is, if they post their song on Instagram or a social media platform and it gets hot, who owns the song? They still own the song. Ownership is based on creation and authorship unless you contractually sign away your ownership interest in the work. So they would still own it. And in fact, they would be able to get public performance royalties if they are writers and publishers and they're a member of ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC. And they would also be able to get sound exchange royalties as an artist, and if they own the master recording based on the internet broadcast. So I think that answers the first question. The second question I can't remember. Can you tell me again?
Yeah, they basically, you kind of intertwined them both. They just wanted to know if, what would be the second stage to that, basically. If they became hot and then they went and tried to, label wants to offer them a deal and they say, hey, but we want that song that initially made our interest to you. How do they protect themselves, moving forward? But I think you kind of intertwined it too.
But let me say this too. So if a record label approaches you based on the popularity of a song, they're most definitely going to want to own that master. They usually include in the recording contract that they will get ownership of not only that master, but all pre-existing masters that you may have recorded with other people. Reason being, they don't want to have any music out there by you that someone else can put out and compete with what they're doing. They also want to have what they call quality control. They want to make sure that there aren't any inferior recordings from a sound perspective or a quality perspective that would be detrimental to the image they're trying to build for you. So if you sign with a major label, they're going to want to include in that deal all of your previous recordings.
Does that include mixtapes?
Yep.
Mm.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, I tell you what, Mrs. Entertainment Attorney Stephanie Hammonds, I want to thank you for joining us today. It was very informative. I learned a lot. And like I said, we always post our shows anyway, but I'm gonna specifically post it in our DJ Facebook page. And you provided a lot of helpful information going forward. I tell you what, go ahead and give out your information if anyone would like to attain you or have any questions. Go ahead and give out your information on how they can get a hold of you.
Okay. The best way to reach me is by phone. I can be reached on my cell phone right now under stay-at-home offer 313-506-6905. I'm also on Facebook. I don't know what my account is, but if you put in Stephanie L. Hammonds, my name will come up for that, and Twitter. Before we close, I just want to say a couple of things. First, we didn't get to talk that much, Q, but I thank you for inviting me. We miss you in Detroit, and Q was instrumental in helping a lot of people get radio experience at the University of Detroit, and very instrumental and well-rooted with DJs and just the music scene. So we miss you here. So I was glad to receive the call from you. And I just want to let you guys both know that I appreciate you offering me this platform to share information. This is what I love to do. And if you ever want to invite me back, just coordinate it with me. I'd be happy to talk some more because I can talk about this all day.
Oh, thank you. And you're quite welcome. Let's hear it for Stephanie, entertainment attorney Stephanie Hammonds.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you.
Thank you both. And keep up the good work. And be safe and take care.
You too. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, I think we're all set. Oh yeah, that was nice, Q, wasn't it?
I mean, I'm just giddy right now. I mean, I wasn't expecting for her to say those things, but Stephanie has, I mean, she is a wealth of knowledge, man. And there's so much stuff that we didn't get a chance to tackle in. But I hope that our viewers and our listeners, I hope that they got a chance to at least munch off of some of that knowledge. And I've always been an advocate for years of anybody who's been in the industry to make sure that you do talk to somebody who's credible that can help in protecting your assets moving forward. Because you don't know how this industry, because there's a quote out here. I don't know if you ever heard it. It said, "There's only bad contracts are the ones that you sign." So I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but
nope, never heard that one. No, but today was a free
common say.
Today was a free seminar. This was a free seminar. I really hope if you're curious about the entertainment workings, or if you're an aspiring artist, today was it was a free seminar. I mean, she gave us it was class. We was in session for real. And
what did you learn?
Everything I asked, I didn't know, and she opened the door on everything. So that was stuff that the breakdown of the royalties and the credits, she said it's 50-50 writer and production. And if you weren't the writer and you didn't make the beat, your percentage got to be negotiated or you ass out, So
that's right.
Oh man.
You talked about earlier about Montel, selling his song, but I would have, if I would have had a lot longer, I would have asked her to talk, because she knows about the George Clinton situation. I mean, about what he did. He sold his catalog. And
did he really?
Yeah, he did. And she could have, given us a little bit more enlightenment. And listen, we can always, consult with Stephanie down the line if we have some more questions about anything. And but Carl Carlson's another one. He told me a story about how he was telling me, and I'm gonna just paraphrase the story. He was telling me that at the time, he said, "You guys are looking at the songs for where they are now. And it's in hindsight, it's easy to say, man, why did you sell that song? But back then, he said they was just fresh out the box. You get 20 or 30 songs solicited to you. You don't know which songs are gonna do what. If I go and record 20 songs and some of the labels accept it, some of them will reject it. And then the 3 or 4 that go through, and then you have one that'll become an international hit. He said, but you don't know at the time. And when you're a struggling artist, you got to pay bills. You got to do this and that. You know, you don't know what you're going to do. And so, but he said, there's a guy in California that's living off the royalties of his song to this day. And he said, only thing he can do is perform it, but he makes no money off it. I said, cause when Tyler Perry was playing, was using your song, you know, She's a Bad Mama Jamma, and for the Tyler Perry movie, I said, it kind of like resurrected your career in a sense, because you were actually, you know, your song was hot again and people was, you know, gravitating towards it. I mean, Drew Hill redid the song, and he was like, that he made no money off of that. I said, that was sad, you know, but those are stories like that, you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah, that was very informative. Thank you again, Stephanie. You were very helpful. And I'm glad she put it out there that we can come back to her, because I know we're going to talk about, I know this ain't the last time we're going to talk about, or I know we're going to talk about contract disputes and situations going forward, because that's just our format. You know, artists is our format.
I don't know what you was getting, man, but they was chiming in hard over here, man. There was so many questions, but they were typing so fast I couldn't, like, you know, I couldn't try to articulate it and try to put it in a form, because some people didn't put it in a question form. It was just like, ask this, ask that. Yeah, I mean, I hope that a lot of the artists that are just starting out, I hope that she took those 4 tidbits and I hope that they apply them to their career moving forward.
Okay, we got about 10 minutes left. Let's play. One Gotta Go. I gotta get a sounder made for that, don't I?
Yes.
Okay, One Gotta Go. Let's see here. Oh, this is a good one. You ready for this one? One Gotta Go. You got Janet Jackson. You got Beyonce, Mary J. Blige, and Rihanna. One Gotta Go. And feel free to comment, guys, on the post down there. So we're playing One Gotta Go, and we got Janet Jackson, Beyonce, Mary J. Blige, and Rihanna. God, who gotta go?
I'm gonna have to no. So it's not a career, no none of that. They just won't exist.
Whatever, however you want to do it, whatever criteria you want to use. Let me tell you who not going is Mary J. Blige isn't going anywhere for me. Mary isn't going anywhere for me. Let's see here. I'm keeping Janet.
Okay.
I'm keeping Janet. So between Beyonce and Rihanna, which one I want to get rid of? Let me see here.
That's not fair, Travis, because we both got the mainstay.
I'm getting rid of Rihanna. I'm getting rid of
Beyonce just for subject matter. What's your reason for getting rid of?
Hold on. You said you're getting rid of Beyonce? Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Why Beyonce? I'm just curious.
That's why I was asking you. Why did you pick Rihanna?
Because listen, I grew up with Mary. I mean, Mary is just a man. I remember I rocked with Mary my whole career, man. Like most of my life. I just love Mary. Mary not going nowhere. That was automatic. Janet,
being biased.
Janet kind of fall into the same reasons. You know, I remember Penny on Good Times, and she always been a cutie pie to me. Uh, yeah,
Young Love, Dream Lover, Young Love is when when people talk about Janet real quick, they always start from Control on up, but people forget about how she had an album before Control.
yeah,
Please tell me you know that.
but didn't nobody buy it. So until she hooked up with
Young Love was. What do you mean? Young Love was hot.
It was okay, but until she didn't hook up with Terry Jam,
Oh
and
my God.
she didn't hook up with them until Control. So that was. But anyway, but we're not here to debate that. Beyonce just.
My point being,
you the king of getting off track, man. I swear to God.
No, my point being I just when you were saying about her being a mainstay to you, I was thinking, about how long when you talked about Penny, I was like, people forget, when she was on Fame and how she was doing other stuff, but I remember
all of that, and for those reasons, she stays on my list. And
Beyonce for me's got to go.
Okay, and I'll get your reasons in a minute. Let me finish mine up before I was rudely interrupted. Beyonce, she stays because I just think she cool people. When they was Destiny's Child, she just seemed like a homegirl. She seemed like a homegirl. She seemed like she was real. I'm going on how they carry themselves. Rihanna, I get a nasty vibe from Rihanna, and I don't like nasty girls. And Janet Jackson got a song called Nasty. They said, nigga, you keeping Janet Jackson. Somebody just said, but you keeping Janet Jackson.
Right.
But no, yeah. I just get a nasty vibe from Rihanna, man.
You painted yourself in a wall with that one, Trav.
Yeah, I know, but nothing's wrong. Don't get me wrong. Nothing's wrong with Rihanna, but in this particular situation, she got to go. Probably in 9 times out of 10 other situations, I would have Rihanna, but when you put them up against these other 3 women, you got to go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me do what we got. We got 5 minutes. All right. Let me give you another one. All right, let me give you another one. Let's see here. Okay. Let's do. God. Okay, let's do comedians. Okay. One got to go. Bernie Mac, Martin Lawrence, Eddie Murphy, and Kevin Hart. One got to go.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy for me.
That's easy for you. Let me see here. Mm-hmm. Hold on.
But name off again. You said Martin Lawrence, Eddie Murphy, Kevin Hart, and who else?
Bernie Mac.
Oh, that's easy. Okay. Kevin's got to go.
Hold on. Let me think about it.
You got to think about that?
Yeah, I got to think about it. It's between who I'm going to leave out is Bernie and Kevin. God, I love Kevin.
What?
I love Kevin Hart, man. I love Kevin Hart. It's going to be Bernie Mac for me. I love Kevin Hart, man. I love Kevin. It's going to be Bernie Mac for me.
You got to hit the Little John for me on that.
It's hard, but I'm a big Kevin Hart fan, man. I like everything he stands for, man.
What? I like Kevin too, but would keep him over Bernie Mac?
Yeah. What I'm thinking about? I like the way Kevin carries himself.
And Bernie didn't carry himself well?
And I'm keeping Martin for the same reason as Mary. And then Eddie Murphy is the king, the godfather, the uncle of comedy, of black comedy or comedy, period. You can't get rid of Eddie Murphy. You just can't. And Martin, same way, same reasons as Mary, same timetable.
Well, this generation don't feel the same way about Eddie Murphy as we do. I'm just saying for the record. They don't feel the same way.
And that's why I do, man. I love Kevin Hart, man. I really do, man. And I love you, Bernie. Rest in peace.
It's so funny that you did this because I saw Snoop. He posted this, and Jamie Foxx had something to say about that. Anyway, but go ahead.
Okay. Let's do one more. Okay, I can do. Let's do one more. Oh my God, this is.
One's gotta go.
I can't do this one. Okay, Notorious Big, Eminem, Nas, and Tupac. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't put one of them off the list. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't.
That's not how the game was played.
I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't do this. There's no way. Can you do it? I can't do it.
Yes, I can. I can. And you're gonna catch shit from any one of them that you take off.
Okay.
But
I'm not taking one off, so who you taking off?
I know my 313 people would just have my head if I say Eminem.
You better not say Eminem.
If I had to, I would have to go with Nas.
That's a damn shame. Damn shame.
Listen.
That's probably he's probably the best one on the list. He's probably the best one. Oh, I can't believe I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. To me, it would be hip hop disrespect. If I took one of them off, it'd be. I mean, that'd be disrespect to some guys, man. I can't do it.
I could have said the same thing with the first one. I loved all of them for the fear, for playing the game. I had to pick somebody, right?
Ooh.
Somebody's got to go.
Oh, he said Nas. Listen, you guys got to weigh in on this. He said out of Notorious Big, Eminem, Nas, and Tupac, one got to go. He said Nas got to go. Please weigh in on this. Please weigh.
Listen, man. I mean, hey. I can't do it. Back then when a lot of that was going on, Nas was just getting, he was feeling himself a little bit. And so, that's how, listen, I wasn't into Nas like that back then. You know what I'm saying? So, if I have to be, impartial, I have to say, hey, but what turned the corner for me with Nas is when I saw Belly. I was like, yo, that's what really the light just like turned on for me for Nas. You know what I'm saying?
I was a fan out the gate. Illmatic. What's Queensbridge, man? That's what I'm talking about, man. Oh, everybody was running around talking about the Wu-Tang Clan. Oh man, I thought they were so whack. I thought Wu-Tang was so whack. Oh man, but they grew on me. They grew on me. I'm cool with them now, but God! I was rocking with the West Coast when Wu-Tang was rocking. I was rocking.
Well, I was the same way. That's why when you talk about Nas, I was like,
yeah, I didn't.
That's easy for me.
I didn't get hip to Wu-Tang until I was about 40. I didn't, man. I wasn't feeling. I didn't. I couldn't. I wasn't feeling it. And then
now Wu-Tang as a whole, or was it just elements of them individually?
I was so West Coast
because I love when Method Man came out. I liked him individually, just not as a group with them.
You know what? Let me say this. I liked Bring the Pain. I liked Bring the Pain, and I liked the joint that Method had with You All I Need. I like those two joints. Those two joints was fire.
What about the Rockwaller with him and Red?
Well, Rockwaller didn't come out till later. Rockwaller came out like 2006 or 7. Around in there. That came later. That was later. But Rockwaller. That was about 2006, 2007. I wasn't hip to it when it came out, but once I started DJing and I was going through tracks trying to find fire stuff to play, I heard it and I was like, well, damn, this got to get into my rotation. And so I got it. Yeah. I was like, yep. So, hey, but we got to get out of here, man. Any last words?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I want to thank Stephanie Hammonds again for dropping some jewels. Please listen to this episode again. I definitely think you're going to learn a lot. I want to say, Trav, let's do it again, and hopefully everybody tune in tomorrow because the West Coast will be in the house.
That's right, my man.
And everything is. I'm telling you, man, this is another must hear, because not must see, must hear. I mean, this is going to be huge. Tell a friend, get your popcorn, get ready. I mean, Trav is going, and I know Trav is going to be hitting him with some extraordinary questions.
For sure.
You do not want to miss this. I told you this week has been damn packed for us, Trav.
Yeah, it is. And hopefully we're expecting a big, huge interview next week. We got our fingers crossed on it, and we're waiting to hear back on it. And we'll as soon as we get confirmation on it, we'll get it to you. Other than that, make sure you go to our YouTube page, subscribe. Please go to it. The link is on my page. Just scroll down where you are right now. Click on my link, go to the YouTube page, hit subscribe, and then you can do whatever you want to do. Also, go follow us on Twitter. Go follow us on Instagram. And we also got a Facebook page. Make sure you go over there, and lots of great content for you to check out. Until tomorrow, see you later.
It's the Big Trav and Q Show. Yo. Just another damn podcast. Now let's go. Go, 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 go.
It's the Big Trav and Q Show. So what you gonna do, bro? Q is from D-Town. We chillin' in the Momo. Trav is from the mud. We call it Glass City. Swoop some red bones, and they was acting shifty. It's the Big Ballin' Podcast. All the others hot trash. 6 o'clock on the dot. Better make a quick dash. All the hot topics getting played in the tropics. We picking up steam. Yo, Q, they can't stop it. Let's go.